Hello and welcome to the Modern Skein podcast. My name is Sharon Graff and I am the owner of the Modern Skein, and this is a yarn store here in Montgomery, Texas. Thank you so much for tuning in. It's a pleasure to have you watch. I'm super pumped that people still actually watch these. We've been going on now over a year doing the podcast. Of course, the shop's been open online now over 2 years, which is kind of incredible to think about, and having the storefront here in Montgomery a little over a year and a half now. It's super exciting, and I'm just so happy to be able to share my love of yarn and knitting and crochet and anything you can do with yarn, basically, with you guys. So thank you so much for supporting me. Thanks for tuning in and subscribing. If you're not a subscriber, thanks for joining us. I would love it if you hit thumbs up or subscribe at the bottom. And if you are a subscriber, thank you so much for sticking with me, especially through those early episodes of awkward silence. Not saying that there's not awkward silence now, it's just a little better. Maybe. Okay, so let's get started. First off, I don't have any finished objects, or do I? See, this is the problem when you don't podcast for 2 weeks. I am hoping that this fall, basically starting now, I am able to get back on my every week episode filming. I showed that already. Yes, I did. So, fingers crossed, actually cross them, there we go, that I will be able to film once a week. I've scheduled it into my weekly planner again. So, yeah, I don't think there's any finished objects this week. I'm just looking around the shop. I'm not just staring mindlessly off into space. Vacant stare? No. Yep. No finished objects. Am I sure? Yes, I'm sure. Okay. But I have made progress on some of my whips. So, let's get started. First off, my Navily tee. I don't remember when I showed this last. I should have showed it on the last podcast. I don't remember if I did. Did I stop in the middle of a row? Is this the turning? I stopped in the middle of a row. Oh well. You can still get the idea. So this is the Navily tee. This is a pattern by Caitlin Hunter. Ta-da! It is, now this is rolling up. It won't as soon as I block it, but there you go. Ta-da! So this is a pattern by Caitlin Hunter. It is a bottom-up sweater, as you can see, and I have just, and I do mean just, you can see here, this is where I split for the sleeves, so I've only done like 3 rows past separating the front and the back. I am one of those people who do not put my back or front that I'm not knitting on waste yarn. My cord is long enough, so I just keep it on the cord, and once you get past the first couple rows, it's pretty obvious where you stop and start, so that doesn't bother me. I think it would bother me more if I put it on a different cord or holders or anything else. So there you have it. So this is the Navily tee. This is designed to be kind of a slightly cropped. I won't say even cropped. It's more of like a drop shoulder. It is cropped. But it's not like boob top crop thing. So on me, this should hit me right kind of like at the top of my jeans. I do wear high-waisted jeans, just in case you care. But this should hit right at the top of my jeans. I'll still probably wear like a tank top underneath it or anything, just in case you want to raise the roof or whatever it is people say nowadays. But, and of course this will Once this is blocked, that will not roll down. So the yarns that I'm using here, this is my main color, this beautiful variegated. It's like forest and gold with these little deep grape kind of colors. Can you see that? Isn't that gorgeous? That is Life in the Long Grass, and the colorway is Cactus Moon Soil, which I had up until Saturday and sold the last of that. And then we also have this kind of golden brown, was also Life in the Long Grass, again sold out now, and I don't remember the color name. And then this background kind of blush cream color is Dust by Ching Fibers. So we do have that available in stock. And I have other similar color combinations that we can show you here in the shop. This is the Cactus Moon Soil wound up. Like I said, I have very similar combinations that I've been putting together for people. We can put together any sort of combination you want for your Navalee tee. If you have done a tiny bit of color work before, or you've done a sweater before, this is a great pattern. The chart's very easy. It's very straightforward. You cast on, you do some ribbing, you begin the chart, you work through the chart, then you knit, separate for your sleeves, and then it has a fun neck detail, not color work, just knitting neck detail, and then a fold over cuff, 2-color fold over cuff, and 2-color but not color work. Again, it's just you use 2 different colors, but again, not color work, not stranded color work. So that is my Navalee tee. The pattern is by Caitlin Hunter. Let me move this to the side. So that's one whip that I've been working on. I've been working on that one in spurts. I cast it on, I knit like this much, like probably half of the chart, and then while I was on vacation in July, then I put it aside and did a bunch of other things. Then I picked it up again, powered through the rest of the chart, put it aside. Then I needed some mindless knitting, knit through to splitting for the sleeves, split, and now I've put it aside again, but I'm going to pick it up. So this sweater is probably going to take me longer than average for me, only because I've been knitting it in these weird kind of spurts, because there's so many projects that I want to cast on, or I have cast on. It's kind of ridiculous, but it's what I want to do, so it's what I've done. Anyway, so now there are other projects I have cast on. As we all know, I have my 3-color cashmere cowl, which I should bring that out and show that because that's relevant to something later in the podcast. I have the patterns from the Stephen West Yarn Along, one of which I have cast on. The other 2 I haven't, so those don't count as whips because they're not cast on. Yarn is wound, but they're not cast on, so that doesn't count. I'm sure I have something else. But with me, so when did I decide this? Gosh. I'm just good. Take 2. Okay. So, a couple weeks ago, was it a couple weeks ago? I don't remember when. Maybe a week ago. Had to have been longer than a week ago. Maybe 2 weeks. When did I take this? I took this, I don't remember. Anyway, it doesn't really matter when. But in the past, less than a month ago, I wanted to start using up some of the single skeins that I acquired at Vogue earlier this year in January, because I've decided me and a friend of mine are going up to Vogue this coming January. So January 2020, we're going to go back to Vogue and we're going to have so much fun. But it was like, okay, I still have this bag of yarn that I got at Vogue that I really should try and put a little bit of a dent in before going back and buying, I'm sure, another giant bag of yarn. So I was going through, and I would say about, I've shown my Vogue haul before. You can go back to the episodes in January and you can see all of it. But so I got a couple sweater quantities. I still haven't cast on the sweater quantities yet, but what I had was a lot of single skeins, there was 1-2 skein thing. So anyway, I had all these single skeins, and luckily for me, I put a tiny bit of thought into it, and they are all very complementary. Not necessarily in the same color family, because I've got neutrals, I've got blues, I've got teals, I've got blacks and grays, things like that, but all kind of, you could fade them together, you could make them work. So then I got thinking, I need a scrappy kind of project and something that I would wear at Vogue. And first thing that popped in my head is the Penguano. Of course, I knit the Penguano last year and I wore that to Vogue. Great. It's like, well, I don't necessarily, even though Penguano is great, I don't necessarily want another one, especially since mine is blue and gray, and most of the yarn that I picked up at Vogue is blues, grays, teals. So I was like, what else can I do that would be sweatery? And I've always wanted to do like a longer, kind of a duster, maybe mid thigh, go down to the knee sweater, cardigan type thing. And so browsing around Ravelry, and I came across, I'd actually saved it in my queue, the Marled Mania cardigan by Stephen West. And it basically is 2 strands of fingering held double through the whole way. You mix and match color as you see fit, and it's just basically a recipe for a cardigan down to a long duster. You pick the length. So I started playing around with my single skeins from Vogue, and then leftovers from my Penguano, leftovers from recent knits like my Evolve shawl, and other projects that were all in the same color family, and I boiled it down to a nice palette and kind of had a little bit of a thought on how the main colors would fade. And basically my main colors, were my single skeins from Vogue, and what I would hold double with it was my scrappy scraps from my shawls, my night shift, all this other stuff, but they kind of all blended together. So, and then I had a specific color for my yoke and my cuffs. And so, it's not finished. I still have sleeves to knit, but the body is done. It was such a fun, fast knit, because the second you got bored with a color, you just swapped out a color. So, this, I'll show you the back so you can really see the fade, is my cardigan. So I'll start here. So this is my yoke. So this is some 100% baby alpaca I picked up at Vogue with a strand of shibui left over from a project, the Silk Cloud, in like a navy blue. And then you've got this is beautiful, starts out navy black, down through the grays and whites, and then we kind of fade into, these are leftovers from my What the Fade. So you have that kind of mustard pop. I think it's big. And then we start fading back into kind of the creams and taupes, and then some teals. And then finally we end with this band of like a dark teal, and then I-cord bind off of the alpaca. So, let me show you real quick. It's really cool because it's like a shawl front, so it's nice and drapey, and you can see, and as I can't really see, you can see, See how far down it goes. Ta-da! Basically hits me right at the back of my knee. So you can wrap it around. I'm actually thinking, especially when I wear this up at Vogue, doing like one of the jewel closures up here to kind of keep it closed. But you can also just wear it like this. Ta-da! So that is my sweater. And so now I just have to go pick up the sleeves and knit both sleeves. You could totally leave the sleeves off. It would be completely optional. And then you would just have this cool vest. But I'm going to knit sleeves because I'm going to wear this at Vogue and it's going to be freezing. I froze my tushy off at Vogue. Of course, inside you're sweating, but if you walk out the doors to the Starbucks or to Times Square or anything like that, you freeze. So that is my Marled Mania. He has so many marled patterns. I can never keep it straight. Okay, this is the Marled Mania cardigan. There is a Marled Magic sweater, not what I just did. Marled Mania cardigan. Okay. Then, the other thing I just cast on, I did cast this on this week, is my Cedar Point by Espace Tricot. So this is a free pattern available on their blog or on Ravelry. And this is an amazing sweater. So my printer printed this out pink. The original colors are more of a taupe and black. But this is a beautiful rounded yoke sweater. Melissa was wearing this at Vogue, and I have my picture with her wearing it, and it's just stunning. It's exactly the kind of sweater I was just wanting to wear. So when she published the pattern, it was like, I have to get this, especially since it was a free pattern. And I've been pondering about what yarn to knit it in. She originally did, I believe, one of the Icelandic type yarns, Icelandic or Norwegian. She may have used Ramagard or Finogard, one of those. And so a very rustic yarn, and then held it with a strand of Shibui Silk Cloud. Well, when I was in Salt Lake earlier this July, I went to Blazing Needles, one of my favorite yarn stores in Salt Lake City, and they have a ton of Brooklyn tweed yarn, like anything and everything Brooklyn tweed, they have it. So they have a whole range of Peary, which is a fingering weight woolen spun yarn, and it's awesome. So I took the Peary and held it together with a strand of the Shibui, the new Shibui, which is the Shibui Silk Cloud Tweed, or Tweed Silk Cloud. And so I have done this. You can see here. I'm still on the yoke. I've got, I think, 2 more increases, and then I split for sleeves. So this top part here is the Peary held with the Tweed Silk Cloud. I know the Tweed Silk Cloud is bone color, and the Peary is Moral. And then the black, besides being called black, is something else. Let me find it. Kettle. It's called Kettle. Okay, and what's this? That's that's bone. Abyss for the Tweed Silk Cloud. So, you can see it's mostly black, but it has these little tweedy bits, which is really cool. So I've done the colorwork portion. It's about like, well, that's the back side. About like so. And like I said, there's 2 more increases, and then we split for the sleeves. and it's kind of a funnel neck. It's not particularly ribbed or anything like that. So that is that one. Okay, moving on. So that's the last of the works in progress. Then the other thing I wanted to show that I did acquire is, if you follow Chelsea Yarns or her husband Red Bank Mike, you have seen the big kahunas on his Instagram feed. And so what he does is he winds up and creates these huge yarn cakes that are self-striping and just fingering weight or DK weight, sparkle, non-sparkle, all these things. And he names each one of them and auctions, well, not auctions, but just announces that he has them, and they sell like in 5 minutes. So the other day he posted this picture and it was like, it's perfect. It's blue. It's perfect. And luckily enough, I managed to snag it. So it came last night. This thing is so big. Do you see this? This is like as big as my head. It's massive. And look how pretty. So this one is like all teals and blues. And you've got these like mustardy pops, and there's some green in the center. Mine is DK weight, and there's over 600 yards, 9 colors of DK. So I just have to figure out what to do with my giant head size yarn cake. But yes, I snagged this. This is my personal. So excited. Okay. Now on to what we have new in the shop. We have, before I get on to yarn, we have a couple things. We are now carrying the Hyper Knitting book by Stephen West. This is the new, his newest book that was released at Vogue. So we have that. It's a nice little book. Great patterns in there. I've knit a couple of them. Grace has knit a couple of them out of there. We also have our neutral stitch stoppers restocked, and we now have the jumbo stitch markers. So if you're knitting with like the Loopy Mango, or if you're knitting with some Rasta or something, and you're using basically a US 15 or above, these stitch stoppers will work for you. They will do up to a 16 millimeter or a US 19 needle. So always handy, especially with like the Loopy Mango, which is the mohair So Soft, because it can be a bit slippery. The other thing we have now is an expanded collection of printed patterns. So I have like crochet shawls, we have classic Andrea Mowry's, we have, this one's really pretty, more Andrea Mowry, we've got sweaters. I'm trying to get a nice collection of things we have a sample of in the store, plus popular patterns as well. So this will constantly be rotating through in the shop, and we have a nice big spinning rack of all of our patterns that we have printed available for you. And most of them, not all of them, but most of them, if you want a digital copy as well, there is a code on the back that you scratch off to download a digital copy as well at no extra charge. Not all of them include that, but most of them do. And having the hard copy is really nice. I love a hard copy. I can take it with me on travel. I don't have to worry about cell service or downloading something on my phone or an iPad or something like that. And they're just really nice keepsakes too. You can put them in a binder and kind of a nice little memory as well. And they're printed on really nice cardstock. Okay, and let's see. Someone did ask how to see some crochet stuff, and I have one of our crochet shawls here. And basically what they were wanting to know is, how does a yarn look when it's crocheted? So this is the original skein of this yarn, and you can see how it's crocheted. Typically with crochet, if you have shorter color strands like this, it's more speckled than it is color pooling. It's going to be more kind of, I'll say, splotchy in its effect versus like long runs of color. Like on this one, you can see here, this is kind of more long runs of color in this teal, and this is what that yarn looked like. So it's variegated, but it's very long strands of color. So I hope that helps you out on what the color is going to look like when it's knit up or crocheted up. So the other new thing that we got in is the less traveled yarn. So I'm going to real quickly go through those colors. Now some of them we've had before, but everything with this sparkly label is brand new from her Outspoken Disco collection. So this one is called Vanta. It's a really nice deep charcoal. Then you've got Burnout. This is a really pretty color. Kind of blues and purples and golds. This one we've had before, but it pairs really well with the Burnout. This is Acid Wash. This is Lava Lamp. This is a beautiful one. This is Spotlight Dynamite. So this one you'll get a pooling of color because of how it's dyed up, but it'd be beautiful. This is one we've had, just another Manic Mermaid. Beautiful color. This is Strictly Copacetic. Beautiful speckling. Very subtle but bright. Then this is Fade to Black. Do Me a Solid. Beautiful teal. It's a little more teal than it's showing up in the camera. Reach over here. So this one is, where'd it go? Studio 54. Nice melon color. This is Desert Marigold, soft butter. Then this is Brick House, kind of a minty teal with orange. Oops. This one's Seguro, a nice cactusy succulent green. Hold on, let me get these closer. Way out of my reach. Okay. This is Monsoon. Gossip Column. This one is like an electric orange. Kind of blown out the camera there. This is Halston, a really bright, vivid yellow. This is Aubergine. This one's Roslyn. Last Dance. This is a fun summery color. Stone Fox. Champagne Diva. This is literally that color that you see on the screen. It's almost like a fluorescent purple. And this is Hot Pants, a fluorescent pink. Pink Adobe is a much softer pink. Lucy in the Sky, beautiful purples and greens and yellows, all speckled on a cream base. This is Venus Flytrap, beautiful green and mint, with a little bit of like a maroon speckled in there. And then this is Far Out, beautiful sky blues and greens and purples. And lastly, this one is Foxy Mama. This one even has little bits of red in it, which is really pretty. You can see there. So that is all of the new stuff for now. Just a quick reminder, we have the yarn trail coming up. The dates for the yarn trail are August 19th through the 25th. We, however, the Modern Skein will only be open the 20th through the 25th, so that's Tuesday through Sunday. We are always closed on Mondays. everything downtown here in Montgomery is closed on Mondays, so we are also closed on Mondays, but you can come by starting Tuesday. Of course, we're open our normal hours on Tuesday, 10 to 8 p.m., and then 10 to 5 the rest of the week. And however, Sunday we are going to be opening up from 1 to 4 p.m. on Sunday the 25th. We're normally also closed on Sundays, but for the Yarn Trail, 1 to 4 p.m. on Sunday. If you are already pre-registered and selected our store as your pickup for your bags and trail guide, we have those in, and you may pick them up starting today, which is Tuesday the 12th, 13th, something like that. So you can go ahead and pick those up if you already did pre-register. If you did not pre-register, you can come basically anytime during the Yarn Trail to any of the shops participating and purchase a trail guide and bag if they're still available, basically same day. What else? We have a stranded colorwork class coming up in September. Details are going to be coming soon on that. We also have, of course, beginner knitting classes that we're working on scheduling, and we have Shawl Mania wrapping up at the end of this month, so be sure and get your submissions in for that. And what did we come up with? Sweater Insania is going to start September 1st, so if you are ready to cast on your sweaters, get ready for that. And we're going to have a beginner sweater class also beginning in September. The date and everything will be announced soon for that. If you've never cast on a sweater and would like a handhold and a class to walk you through step-by-step how to knit your first sweater, that will be coming in September as well. It'll be a 3-part class, just like beginning of this year. So thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you next time on the podcast, and we'll see you soon in the shop, hopefully. Bye-bye.